In the marmalade forest, between the make-believe trees, in a cottage cheese cottage, lives Albie. Albie, the racist dragon.
First off, forget about branded in TCG, OCG, and Monster Duel. This is a totally different deck, focused around the skill branded journey. Now, before we go on, I know I'm about to get a certain type of comment, so no, there is no free-to-play version of this deck. In order to get this game plan going, and going consistently, you're gonna need so many expensive-ass cards, bro. Just look. On stream, the chat voted for me to learn how to play this deck, and ever since then, I've been playing this deck every day just for the fun of it. Don't worry guys, Duel and Speedroid guides are on the way. I'm just doing this video to buy me some time so the algorithm doesn't forget about me. Okay, so basically, to get shit started, you need in your hand either Fallen of Albaz or a dragon that mentions Fallen of Albaz or any Dogmatica monster. To get the combo going though, you also need a light monster and a monster with 2500 or more attack, but the light monster and the 2500 attack and higher monster can be the same card. It's going to be way better for our card advantage if we can hit two birds with one stone and have our light monster also have 2500 or more attack. So you want to play as many monsters as you can that fit that build. The best ones you can play are Saravis, Nibiru, Thunder King, and Fleur-de-Lis. And Fleur-de-Lis especially, since by being a Dogmatica monster, she can help us get the shit started. If we don't open one of these, then we're going to need to have some other light monster and some other 2500 attack monster. To give us even more lights, we can play 3 Effect Veiler, of course. It is a light and a Dogmatica, like Fleur-de-Lis, so you can use it to start the combo. So now we know what we need to start. Let's start. Activate the Branded Journey skill, and it's going to ask you to reveal your Albaz or Dogmatica card, then shuffle another card from hand into the deck. Just don't shuffle back the cards I said that you need. Then you're going to be able to send both Fallen of Albaz and Albion the Shrouded Dragon from deck to grave. Then the skill's going to let you search for either Branded in White or another copy of Albion. Almost always search for Branded in White, even if you already have Branded in White in hand, unless you don't have a 2500 or higher monster in hand, then you can search for an Albion. Activate Branded in White. This is going to banish Fallen of Albaz from grave and send your light monster from hand to grave to fusion summon Albion the Branded Dragon. Albion is going to activate the fusion summon any level 8 or lower fusion by banishing materials from hand, field, and grave. You're going to banish Albion from grave and your 2500 attack or higher monster from hand or grave to fusion summon Titaniclad the Ash Dragon. You can go about the fusion material in different ways, but if you can, do it the way I described here. It's going to make sure you can play through interruption better, so even if they don't have interruption, it's good to get this order into your muscle memory. Now with your two big beefy dragons, the opponent's going to feel the intimidating power of your aura, slamming them down on the board like a Chad, but then you're just going to link them off into seals. Okay, it's not just seals pass, okay? The board isn't done. We still gotta click the end phase button. No guys, you can trust me, you can end the turn and it'll be more than just a seals pass. On end phase, both of your fusions have trigger effects in grave if they were sent there that turn. Albion is going to take a branded back row from deck and either set it to your field or add it to your hand. It's going to default to setting it to the field and ask if that's what you want. Say no and it'll go to your hand. And you should add Branded Bomb if you don't have it already. Next, Titaniclad is going to activate to add or special summon a Dogmatica or Albaz from deck. You're going to choose Ecclesia and summon her from deck, then activate her to search for Fleur-de-Lis. This is our end board, and it's a lot better than it looks. Fleur-de-Lis is a hand trap that has an effect to special summon itself as a quickie during the main phase. And if you control Ecclesia, then you also get to negate an opponent's monster in the same effect, meaning that this isn't affected by on-field negation like Leo Ray. Seals contribute a monster from hand or field to non-target return an opponent's face-up card to hand. But if you tribute itself, then it also gets to summon a dragon from deck, but make its attack and defense 0. You'll wait till the opponent has more than one monster, then Seals tributes itself to remove one of them, then activates Engrave to summon Fallen of Albaz from deck, who has an effect when summoned to discard a card and fusion summon using itself and an opponent's monster. And our extra deck's full of fusions with generic requirements to help this happen. If the opponent has a light monster, we can fuse it with Albaz to go into Albion. We can fuse it with Albaz to go into Titaniclad. If they have a dark monster, Albaz is dark too, so they can both go into Starving Venom. And if they have a dark dragon, Albaz is a dark dragon too, so they can go into Borreload Furia. If none of those work, then any monster they special summon that turn at all can go into Sprint. So you're pretty much guaranteed to have something to go into, and you're pretty much guaranteed to be able to use any of their monsters as material. For full one of Albaz's discard cost, you'll want to discard your branded spell that you searched earlier with Albion, because those spells say that on end phase of the turn they were sent to grave to activate full one of Albaz's effect, they set themselves back to the field. So it's like a free discard fodder, since you're going to set the card back anyway. The opponent's going to want to use Effect Veiler or Ghost Mourner on your Albion during your combo. It's pretty much the only time in the combo that they're going to be able to use it, and if they do that, then you're not going to be able to get out Titaniclad. But if you have a branded spell in hand, you can activate the other Albion in grave, discarding that spell to special summon itself. With both of your Albions, you can link off into seals. On end phase, the spell is going to set itself back, and you won't have the Dogmatica negate, but you'll still have a bounce and the Albaz fusing with an opponent's monster. On the other hand, if you don't have a light monster to combo with, you're not going to be able to make your Albion fusion, but you can still at least make a play if you have Albion in hand and a bonus branded spell, and the skill can help you set that up. Use branded in white to fuse Albaz in grave and Albion in hand to fusion summon Titaniclad, then use Albion in grave discarding your other branded spell to summon itself, and you can link them both off into seal. On end phase, Titaniclad is going to summon Ecclesia from deck, and Ecclesia is going to search Fleur-de-Lis, and the branded spell you discarded with Albion is going to set itself back. The only thing missing here is that you won't have that free discard fodder for Albaz that you would have gotten from the Albion fusion. All of that interruption is mainly just trying to keep us alive. A nice bonus is that Ecclesia can't be destroyed by battle by extra deck monster, and if you go into Titaniclad on their turn, then it becomes unaffected by extra deck monster effects for the turn, so it's pretty good at surviving. And if you go into any of your 3 branded fusions, they get to search on end phase if they get sent to grave somehow. There's a 4th one in the game, I know, but it kind of sucks ass, so we ain't playing that shit. We can also ensure even more interruption if the opponent has a dark dragon we can use to go into Borreload Furious, or a light monster we can use to go into Albion to go into Borreload Furious, because Borreload Furious can destroy one of your monsters and any of the opponent's cards as a quickie. Even more interruption to help keep us alive. It's important with the end phase search of our fusions that we say no to special summoning the Albaz we choose. Since we already special summoned Albaz that turn, we won't be able to get its on summon effect, so it'll be better to add it to hand so we can benefit from it that way. With Albion, we just get to search another branded spell, and we do want to add that to hand to avoid a potential cosmic, and with Titaniclad, we might actually choose to summon Fleur-de-Lis from deck, literally just because it's a level 8. On our turn, if we start off with 2 level 8s, we could overlay him into Dingirsu to bait out or flat out remove the opponent's interruption so we can make the rest of our follow-up plays safer. You can still summon Ecclesia from deck and have it search Fleur-de-Lis, but the issue with this could be that you might be clogging up your field too much, since Ecclesia doesn't really help us in any way apart from the Fleur-de-Lis negate play. But you could choose to do this as like a doubled board breaking play. Summoning Ecclesia on their end phase with Titaniclad, searching Fleur-de-Lis, then on your main phase, summoning Fleur-de-Lis from hand to negate an opponent's monster or bait out their negate. Then overlay your level 8s into Dingirsu to break the board further. You just have to keep your board space in mind when you do this, because you might not have the room to pull it off. If you have Branded Bond, you can special summon Albaz from your grave or banish, have it discard a card, and fuse with an opponent's monster yet again. Even more board breaking. If you have branded in white, you can use a light monster with Albaz to go into another Albion, and have Albion banish 2 Dark Dragons to go into Borreload Furious. And Borreload Furious is going to be great on follow-up, since it can help us get rid of back row so we can keep going. If we have Sprint, it can change which zone it's in to destroy all face-up cards in that column. This can be helpful just for general board breaking, but can also get rid of annoying continuous back row. Starving Venom's super good for board breaking. You can have it gain an opponent's monster's attack, and you can make it copy an opponent's high-level monster's effects. So if they got like a Crystal Clear Wing, you can copy its effect. He could make himself unaffected from you, sure, but this guy's gonna get the effect, and he can make himself unaffected, and he'll be able to negate an opponent's back row. Titaniclad gains 100 attack based on the levels of its fusion materials, and it's unaffected from extra deck monster effects the turn you summon it. So he can get huge, and he could be the answer to your opponent's best threat, and he's gonna do a lot of damage to help you go for game. This deck's pretty versatile, so you can figure out for yourself how you want to use all these tools based based on what you have available. The opening play is mainly there to help you set up and survive for this follow-up play so that you can have options, but you still got to keep your zone placements in mind just in case they get too clogged up with Ecclesia, or in case you want to use Sprin's board breaking effect. I especially like summoning Ding Girsu and Borrowed Furious together. That way I can have the Furious to destroy an opponent's card, and Ding Girsu will protect my own card from being destroyed by Furious. Albion also counts itself as Albaz while on field or in grave. So in grave you could activate it to send Branded in White from deck to grave and shuffle itself back, and on that end phase Branded in White is going to be able to set itself back. Being counted as an Albaz also means that it can be used as fusion material for any of your fusions instead of Albaz. So you could potentially Super Poly with this and an opponent's monster if you're lucky enough to draw into it. Or you could use Super Poly with the original Albaz if the opponent negated your Albaz or responded in such a way that would remove materials from the board. This is definitely a deck that wants to go first if we can, but it does have a lot of stuff we can do going second. First off, we don't play all these hand traps for nothing. We got Nibiru and Valor to interrupt the opponent's plays and weaken their board before we get to play. We've got Thunder King to help us turn off their interruptions, and we've got Saravis to negate any of their targeting based interruption, and that's also really helpful for going first against Valor. This deck going second isn't going to have all the same power available to it as it does on the follow-up play. So most of the time you're going to be trying to somewhat dismantle their board, but mainly just set up your defenses as if you were going first. Thankfully we do have another skill effect that says if the opponent's the only one with monsters on board, you get to materialize a Branded Bond to your hand. Branded Bond could be used at the start of your play to revive Albaz from grave, to fuse you using their monster, and you could do this just to bait out their interruption. Alternatively, you could start with Branded in White, using that play to bait out interruption, then Branded Bond afterwards to clean up their board. Somehow, if you can get Titaniclad and the Albion fusion in grave, it doesn't necessarily matter how you got them there, whether it was with the Branded in White play or with the Branded Bond play. If you know the opponent has targeting interruption, you could use Branded Bond, revive Albaz. They can try to stop it with whatever they have to stop it. You can negate their interruption with Saravis, and then Saravis in grave can be counted as the light or the 2500 or higher attack monster if you go into the Albion fusion and want to use its effect to fusion summon again. Here's what the deck looks like. You can pause the video if you like to see what's here, but I'm about to break it down. For real though, to activate the skill we need an Albaz or a Dogmatica, so we're maxing out on all the good ones. There's others you can play just to up the consistency, but I really don't want to play bad cards in my deck if I can avoid it, man. In a 30 card deck, having 12 cards to reveal with a skill to get us started, we have almost a 90% chance of getting what we need. There's honestly no way to hit 100%, but if 90% isn't good enough for you, you could throw in some of the dog shit Dogmaticas if you want. We really want to have high attack light monsters in hand so we don't have to use too many fusion materials, so I'm also maxing out on the good ones there too. That's also 12, so it's the same chances as with the skill starters. Really, the vast majority of games you're gonna be just fine, especially with Fleur-de-Lis meeting both criteria of being both a skill starter and a high attack light monster. I still think Valor is really important to have here as another light monster. That with Ecclesia and the other lights brings it to a total of 18 light monsters, so we got like a 98% chance of getting a light monster at all, and we can always use the skill to search a bonus Albion for another high attack fusion material. Apart from that, you only need to run one Branded Bond. The combo is gonna give it to you anyway, and most people run 2 Branded in White, but I think 3 is actually better so we can open it more often, having the versatility of being able to search a second copy of the skill just to discard with a grave effect of Albion so we can play through Valor, and the same play also makes sure we can use it on the follow-up plays so we don't have to choose between it and Bond. After that, Super Poly is like a no-brainer for this deck, and with my last slot I got 1 Cosmic in here. It's pretty good for the format, but it definitely leads to bricks in this deck, but I want to at least have it in here so I can play to my outs if I need to. The extra deck's pretty self-explanatory. You got 1 copy of all the fusions you can make with your Albaz, but 2 copies are the ones you use for the combo, so they can still be summoned by Albaz after you've combo. And of course the ding and the seals. Real simple shit. So we got our first replay against Vector, and yes, these are replays from the event, and I'm using Yu-Gi-Oh just so I can get some EXP for the guy. So looking at our hand real quick, I do have a light high attack monster, so that is perfectly fine, and I also do have a Dogmatica. So I'm going to activate Branded Journey, reveal, and send back the Ecclesia. I don't need it anymore. I'm going to get it from deck again later anyway, you know what I mean? And I'm going to search for Branded in White. I already have one, but getting a second one, if like they put a Veiler on my Albion Fusion, I can summon my other Albion and I'll still go into my seals. Activate Branded in White, and I'm going to banish my Fallen of Albaz and send my Thunder King to the grave to summon Albion. Albion is going to activate Fusion Summoning using the grave to go into my Titaniclad, the Ash Dragon. Using those two, I'm going to go into my seal, and then on end phase, Albion is going to search Branded in Bond. Titaniclad is going to summon Ecclesia from deck, and Ecclesia is going to search for Fleur de Lis. He is on this bullshit. He's going to Widow Anchor both of my monsters, so he's only Widow Anchoring my Ecclesia simply to get Sky Striker spells in grave, I believe, in this case, to, you know, get that magical 3 number. But negating this Hieratical Seal isn't actually going to completely stop him. He is going to use Area 0, set a back row, send it to grave, and hope to find his engage. Luckily for me, he doesn't find it, but he does have the skill. He already has a rank up magic. He gets to search his other 2 rank up magic, and then he gets to send 4 Xyz to grave and materialize some Xyz in my grave as well. He's going to activate the Admiration of the 1,000, 6 Xyz to his new Xyz monster, Chaos Chimera, but I'm going to activate Heavenly Seal to return it to hand, but it's negated. He negated it earlier with Widow Anchor, but Hieratic doesn't care if he's negated. He still gets the effect if he's tributed. So he's going to activate, and he's going to summon Albion from deck. Albion's going to activate, discarding the Branded Bond to fuse using his monster to go into Borrowed Furious Drag. God damn, bro. But he's going to use a skill, send a card to grave, go into his Mega Form, and he's going to go into his Masquerade from my graveyard. He's going to activate it to send a card to my grave. I mean, why would you even activate that? I'm cool with you milling stuff, bro. More fusion material from me. Before he attacks, I'm going to use my Bowler Furious, getting rid of my Ecclesia to pop his back row, just in case it's something real, you know what I mean? Then on end phase, since I did use Branded in Bond as discard fodder from my Albaz, it gets to set itself back to the field. My turn. Draw. Then I get to activate Branded Bond, revive my Fallen of Albaz from the banish pile, discard the card I drew, fuse with his monster into Albion, and then Albion is going to banish 2 materials from grave to go into Titaniclad. I'm just flexing on him at this point, bro. G fucking G's, dude. Attack him for game. Okay guys, so I am going second here against Raid Raptors. This is definitely a very combo heavy deck, so I'm gonna speed it up a bit. But as you can see in my hand, I don't have any light monsters. I am hoping to draw into one, but I do have at least the tools to combo if I don't draw into one, you know what I mean? I have a branded spell, I have my Albion, you know, so I'm gonna combo regardless, but I would like to draw into a light monster. I drew into the Thunder King. He activates his Raider's Unbreakable Mind during the start of his draw phase, so that whenever he uses his rank up spell, he's going to ensure that he's going to be able to pop a back row. But I do have Cosmic, and now I know that one of those 2 back row are a rank up magic, so I am going to Cosmic Cyclone one of them. Unfortunately, I don't hit it. What I hit instead is Phantom Knight's Wing. He's just going to make his Leviair indestructible by battle 1 time. I'm okay with that. It doesn't matter to me because I'm about to turn off his interruptions anyway. So I'm going to use my Kaiju, tribute over his Dark Rebellion, and this not only prevents him from going into his monster negate, it also prevents him from getting the pop from his Raider's Unbreakable Mind. So I'm turning off 2 interruptions with 1 Kaiju. And now I can get my play started. Since only the opponent controls a monster, I get to materialize Branded Bond in my hand. And then I can reveal a card in my hand, shuffle back my dragon since I have a light on the field already. I'm going to send my Albion and my other Fallen of Albaz to the grave. Then I'm going to activate my Branded Bond, bringing back my Fallen of Albaz, discarding my other dragon, and using his light monster, my light monster, to go into Albion. I now get to fuse using 2 of my dragons to go into Borrowed Furia to help me potentially OTK, because Borrowed Fusion is fantastic for OTK. Then I get to use Branded in White. I still haven't used it yet, using my Kaiju and another dragon to go into Titaniclad, the Ash Dragon. It's gonna be freaking huge because it used a level 9 and a level 8 as material, bro. It's gonna go to 4200 attack. That's a lot of damage. And I'm gonna normal summon a Fallen of Albaz. What I could do is Borrowed Fusion, target my Titaniclad and his Leviair, destroy them. My Titaniclad would be protected because it's unaffected by extra deck monster effects, so it'd just be the opponent getting destroyed. But, you know, I am playing around a potential, like, Balance Box or Veil or something, so I am just going to attack it normally using Fallen of Albaz, get rid of that protection, attack it again, and then finally attack him for game with Titaniclad, the Titanic Chad Dragon.
Ay, Why they gotta hate on me? I done got me 250,000 views and they still saying they low key. They ain't wanna come work with the kid, but I'm flexing with Zay on beats. How they ask for a spot at the gym, but they leave all the weight on me. I don't ask them to wait on me. They would ask where they gon' be with a song if they wanted the Weatherman. I ain't ask them to pay no fees. She was homeless and needed a spot. I ain't ask her to pay no lease. I ain't ask her to say no please. I ain't ask her to make no cheese. Scream fake, but it ain't on me. Got clean, so it ain't no streets. Why green if it ain't no keeps? Brought cream, so it ain't no beef. My team say it ain't no chief. My demon, they hang on me. They seemingly ain't no peace. I seen him, he ain't no beast. For real.